Hello guys, my name is Anna and I vlog daily from Ukraine since the start of brutal Russian invasion. So if you want to know more about real life in Ukraine during these challenging times and you support my country, please subscribe and share the videos that you consider important. And in the morning, I've got an idea. Perhaps not many people keep in their family archives Nazi passports. Why? Because they are a symbol of a very tragic human period and they are connected with many negative memories and crimes and scenes. And I was wondering, will something similar happen to Russian passports? But actually I doubt. Because in modern Germany, Hitler is condemned and treated as the greatest criminal of all times. And in modern Russia, Stalin, responsible for the terror and mass murders of millions of Ukrainians and even Russians, is considered the greatest leader of all time. So it is very possible that even after we win this war and Putin regime collapses, in a couple of decades he will begin to be seen as a hero too. Because there is something inherently wrong with Russian population. I'm sorry, I'm Ukrainian and I have a right and a reason to say so. Also, I would like to demonstrate how Russian passports are used to manipulate and terrorize Ukrainian people. You know that this full-scale invasion started really quickly, and many of Ukrainian territories were occupied within the first weeks. Like Kherson region, Zaporizhia region, Kharkiv region, many of these territories are luckily free from Russian orcs right now. And I'm sure that the Ukrainian counteroffensive led to the return of our borders according to 1991 maps. But so far, many people continue living on temporarily occupied territories. For many, this is not a free choice and they don't have this opportunity to leave. Why? This is dangerous. Russians often shoot humanitarian corridors. It is expensive. Russian soldiers earn on that, and it typically costs from $600 to more than $1,000 to leave occupied territory. They do not allow leaving you from occupied territories to Ukraine. They only allow transfer to Russia. Many people are afraid to travel to Russia because they can get infiltration camps, they can be separated, families, mothers, children, men can be used as in Russian orc army, and they don't want that. So many people are staying on these territories. There are also lots of old people, lots of ill people, and simply lots of people who do not want to leave their house because it will be destroyed, looted, and they believe that Ukrainians will soon come and liberate them. And all of these people are very severely tortured and psychologically tortured and pressed and sometimes physically tortured to take Russian passports. You cannot work on these temporarily occupied territories. You cannot go to hospital or to school, or you cannot do your typical job like farming or something because you will need Russian passport. At the beginning, it was not obligatory, but Putin has signed a law that if a person on these temporarily occupied territories does not have a passport until the 1st July 2024, he, she, they will be deported, losing their house, losing everything. So passportization, Russian passportization was very active since the annexation of Crimea and Donbass and Luhansk regions. They were forcefully making people get this passport because if you need to get to a hospital or if you want your child to go to school, you need a passport. Many people oppose, but this process is getting harder and harder. Many families are afraid to lose their children because this is one of the ways they take away these children and actually steal them from families by pretending that Ukrainians are illegally on that territory and they are not residents and so on. Another thing, people were trying to get this permit to live on temporarily occupied territories that Russia toxically considers its own. And there are no options in this migration services or something that you can get a permit remaining a Ukrainian citizen. They forcefully make everyone take Russian passport. And for many people, it is very painful, both psychologically, and also they are afraid that when finally the territories are liberated, they might be treated as traitors. Very often, Ukrainian government, understanding the situation and pressure under which these people are living, claims that they will not have any responsibility for accepting a Russian passport under such conditions, because sometimes it is a case for their survival. But from May 2022 and up to now, Russia is very actively giving these passports to people who don't want them, and thus pretending that all of them are Russian citizens. The problem is that in future, and even now, it will manipulate this fact in various international institutions, media, and so on, saying that these are Russian citizens and we have come to these territories to protect Russian citizens, and that's what we are doing. And you know, many people buy this idea and think, oh, they have come to save Ukrainian Russian citizens living in Ukraine. First, there was no reason to save them, and no one enjoyed the saving special military operation. And second, they were Ukrainian citizens because they were Ukrainian citizens, and you forced them to take Russian passports. And this is a forced passportization, just like fake referendums that they held in Crimea. Everything is fake here. But to be able to use hospital, to be able to buy things in the bank, or even to get pension, people are made to take Russian passports. Does that make them Russian? No. This makes them prisoners of Russia. Prisoners of war in Russia. Those who do not agree, they take away flats. In many Ukrainian flats and houses, Russian soldiers stay. And you can imagine what happens to that house after a dozen of orcs spent some time. Of course, they loot, they destroy, they hate, and so on. They do not give people migration permits, and people are obliged to stay, or very often they are afraid to cross the territory and to enter Russia. They are not allowed to return through Ukraine. They have to travel through Russia. And in Russia, anything can happen. They can be executed, they can be separated, they can be mobilized to orc army. So you imagine the level of fear. Also, many people are having Ukrainian documents that are outdated or they need some changes, and they don't have a possibility because Russian orcs do not give them this possibility to communicate. There are lots of cases when they take the lands from farmers or houses from people who do not agree to become Russian citizens, and this is one more sign of actually genocide. And also, one of, like, if I have to enumerate the reasons why people are made to do so, that is medical help, money that they need, access to banking, and mainly families that are afraid separation and that their children will be stolen. So there is an answer to a question of so many Russian vloggers: why people all over the world react negatively when they see a Russian passport? Because it's covered with blood of Ukrainians and many other beautiful nations. Because you are guilty for a very serious genocide and a crime against humanity and terrorizing the world. So burn your... I'm not using bad words. Subscribe for that fact. Isn't that good when a girl does not use bad words even in wartime? So burn your Russian passports. Destroy them. Same as you need to destroy your Russia. That's the only way to survive and remain human. Thank you so much for your support and understanding. Thank you for buying me coffees and becoming my patrons and supporting more projects about Ukraine. And soon we will take you to Kyiv, because that's the heart of Ukraine. And introduce yourself to our beautiful t-shirts, cups, pins, and other merch, because they work as good conversation starters and remain about Ukraine and Ukrainian cultural heritage. And Slava Ukraini!